That's right, I am in a model year 2020 Nissan GT-R Nismo. This is pretty much the ultimate Nismo that you can get, and I am very excited to have it in my possession. But unfortunately, it's not mine. This car actually belongs to Nissan UK, and I want to say a huge thank you to them for letting me make some content around this, both on the JM and Friends channel, which I co-run with James of JM on Cars, but also here on Sports and Touring. Let's just say it's making me miss my 370Z quite a lot, because that has been away from the channel for quite some time. And, well, there's a bit of a story behind that, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that today. But first, I think we should get going.
It's been a long time and I miss this feeling. It feels like freedom, it feels like healing. Floating off the floor, past the ceiling. The wind in my hair, I can see the light. Man, I'm feeling like myself again, yeah.
It's bonkers! Oh, and I love it. 600 horsepower in the Nismo. This was a considerable jump from the original GT-R, which came with 480. They later jumped to 485, then 530, then 550, then 570, but the Nismos always came out of the box with 600 horsepower. That's actually more than my Lamborghini Gallardo Superleggera Edizione Tecnica, which has 570. However, this is a fair bit heavier than that, at 1700 to 1800 kilos. But this car seems to have a way to defy physics. I don't get it. I experienced this for the first time in 2009 when I attended Nissan Race Academy, which is why I'm wearing this jacket today, for old time's sake.
I was born for it, I was made for it. Working before I was paid for it. Ain't no finish line, I'm trying to race to it. I'ma bring it after the tape to it.
Let's talk a little bit about its looks first. It is a very aggressively styled car, and all of the carbon on the 2020 edition really lifts the feel of the car in a considerable way. The extra carbon on the vented wings, front wings or fenders if you're an American, the carbon fiber front bumper, rear spoiler, roof, so much additional carbon fiber added to this car in order to take away some of the weight, around 30 kilos. The interior of this car also benefits from the 2017 update. The interior on the 2017 facelift cars was a considerable improvement on the first version, and I actually really like it. All of the controls in this car are really easy to operate, and in fact it's got quite an intuitive gear selector down here as well. Not like some of the cars these days that just have a button. Nope, this has got a proper good old-fashioned lever. Now, one of the things I actually like about this is if you pull over and then have to reverse and then move forward again, then the car remembers whether you were in auto or manual. With a lot of cars that I've driven, if you put it into reverse, the car actually forgets that you're in manual, and then when you put it into drive again, you have to put it back into manual again. But it just remembers. It generally does feel like a very premium place to be. It's got the right balance of leather, Alcantara, and these sort of black chrome plastics, which are characteristic of the Nismo cars, also found in the 370Z Nismo. But as you would expect, it is a much more premium feeling experience in the car. I love all the Alcantara over the dashboard. This is something I think I want to take some inspiration from for future upgrades to the interior of my 370Z. Speaking of which, I should probably tell you what's been happening with that. Well, unfortunately, I had a bit of a problem where one of the parts in the engine decided to let go one day. So the engine's been taken out by Abbey Motorsport, stripped down, and they found where the problem was. I'm going to go into that in more detail in another video. But for today, what I will tell you is that I decided to take this lemon and turn it into lemonade. You'll just have to subscribe and look out for the future videos. But let's get back to the GT-R Nismo, because this is a rare opportunity to enjoy the ultimate Nissan.
Grinding in silence, can't turn back. Work for the weekend, GT-R Nismo, cutting the track.
Wow, you would not believe that this car weighs nearly 1800 kilos. It dances around the corners like it's a much lighter sports car. It turns in a way where it's like it has infinite grip. And you've probably heard all of this about Nismos before, and GT-Rs in particular, but I think this does it in a very, very different way to the standard car. Although, to be honest, the last time I drove a standard car was a long time ago in 2009, but my memory of that car is quite vivid. Probably need to get myself out in one to refresh my memory sometime in the near future. But for today, whoa, the driving dynamics of this car is fantastic. Now, a criticism that I would have of this car is the fact that the steering is a little bit on the light side. You still get plenty of feedback, but I think you'd get more and a greater sense of it being a very purposeful, track-oriented sports car if it had a weightier feel on the wheel. But that doesn't take anything away from its turning. The turning on this car is absolutely fantastic. It is actually surprisingly pointy for its length and its weight. I just wasn't expecting it. It's almost like a lighter weight sports car experience, but in something that is ultimately big enough and practical enough to be a daily. And I'll be honest with you, money no object, that's what I would use this car for.
The hustle stays clean. GT-R Nismo, no weekend machine. Stack through the weekdays, the hustle stays clean. GT-R Nismo, no weekend machine.
Now, I've been experimenting with a few of the different settings, in particular the suspension settings on this car. You can have standard, comfort, or race. Now, race actually makes the car very, very stiff, and I think probably a little too stiff for the public road. But it is what you want to use if you were taking this car out on track, especially a big track like Silverstone, which was the last time I actually got to drive any GT-R was on the Silverstone main circuit. Standard mode is what I have it in right now, which I find for spirited driving gives you the right balance between absorbing the bumps on the road, keeping the tyres in contact with the road, whilst giving you confidence and responsiveness in the corners. Now, comfort mode is perfect if you're just going to be cruising along and taking it easy. Now, I did try comfort mode on this very road, as bumpy as it is, thinking that maybe that would be a little better than the standard mode, but I found that the car lifted just a little bit too much on the rebounds for it to preserve that confidence that the standard setting on a bumpy road like this gave me. So for now, I'm going to leave it set very much in standard mode. The other option, of course, is the traction control mode. You can switch the ESC off or put it into race mode or leave it in standard. Now, the other setting I have at my disposal is the powertrain, and in this particular instance, I've got it set into race, and that setting is my preferred option. The gear shifts are a little bit quicker, but the other thing it gives you is a little bit of a pop, pop, pop on the overrun, which I think actually sounds really good. Well, insofar as it can sound good, because this is a 2020 car, so it's quite constrained on how much noise it's allowed to make. I think it could make a little bit more noise. However, it does have a titanium exhaust, so I'm sure there's some tweaks and modifications available that would allow you to generate a little bit more engagement through the sound of the exhaust system.
Yeah. Talent with grind.
The 600 horsepower delivered by this engine is more than enough. Of course, we know that this engine is capable of more, not just because the Nissan GT-R 50 actually delivered 750 horsepower from basically the same engine and same turbos, but also because there's aftermarket tuning packages that you can get from companies like Litchfield that deliver even more than 750 horsepower. Honestly, I think that would probably be about as much as you'd need. The 600 does feel like, well, the chassis can definitely handle more. But the real fun to have in this car is actually blasting around these country roads. To be honest, these roads feel just a little bit too slow for it. It just wants a much bigger, more open circuit to really fully exploit its handling capabilities. The more I'm driving this car, the more notes I'm taking about how I want my 370Z to feel when it turns into corners. The turning on this is fantastic, and the confidence when you put the power down on the exit of the corner is amazing. Mid-corner, you're carrying much more speed than you think you should be able to, but somehow this absolute tank of a car just hangs on. It's not quite an Lotus Elise, but it is very, very competent. It seems that the GT-R can do everything. It's got speed, power that it can put down on the road. It can go into a corner and pull out of it like a supercar, yet it's got the practicality that you can do the school run, go for a spirited drive, and then do your weekly shop. And visually, this car has a presence that is undeniable. The GT-R is so multi-talented that I would call it the Idris Elba of cars.
Not just speed, it's control and I grow. All round strength like a Nismo. I can do it all like Idris Elba. King on road,
Whoa, what a car. But unfortunately for me, for now, this car is going to remain a dream car, because at £180,000 when it retailed, and your typical pre-2020 version of these Nismos being £160,000, I'm pretty sure that when one of these comes on the market, it's probably going to be around £200,000 to £250,000 or more. So all I really can do is take notes, make my 370Z Nismo even better, and maybe consider one day getting my own GT-R. Thank you very much to Nissan UK for allowing me to make content with this car today, and of course check out the other videos we've made with it over on JM & Friends. And if you want to know what's happening with my 370Z Nismo, you'll just have to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and look out for the future videos.